Look and see, hear and perceive, with your mind and heart. I want to knock at the door and heart of every human being who is still asleep and delusional or under the program of the Matrix. There are controllers, manipulators that control every government and politician, military and financial structures. At the same time, there is a lot of madness in the world that manifests by those structures: banks, corporations, Hollywood and fashion, etc., that constitutes the matrix of enslavement that has been established on Earth before we were born here. And all institutions of education, medical and pharmaceutical and many industries are working for that matrix in automatic mode. People behave like programmed robots without even noticing themselves. And the question is, why is it like that? And who built this matrix? And for what? Why are we ignorant of geography, science and true knowledge of even basic stuff? Who keeps us ignorant and busy working for the matrix? And why? We are like a stock of sheep and cattle, doing a useless routine called work, and getting paid for this just barely enough to survive. So revelation number 1, our Earth is invaded and occupied by invaders. Who are they? They are not Americans, Zionists, Illuminati or other groups. Those known names do exist, but those groups are just puppet players and slaves of the invaders' controllers. The only difference is they have more money at their disposal for their work, service to the controllers. Repeating again, our Earth is invaded and enslaved. Already 40,000 years ago, but real success our controllers got only 250 years ago. I will call those controllers global predators, for the sake of convenience of the video. The fact is that the matrix created by these global predators was able to poison not only the bodies of humans but their souls as well. A long time ago, we lived peacefully without money, anger, revenge, jealousy, greed, lust, desire to have lots of money, perversion, cheating and lies, ignorance and many other characteristics that sums up the character of the modern human and modern society standard. As a result, humans are invaded by a virus that doesn't allow them to be who they are in essence and at the root of our nature. A man sees himself only 7% of what he is and the brain works at only 3% of its capacity. But not long ago, man had knowledge and wisdom, and used his brain to full capacity, not only the head brain, but the spine brain and those located in the guts and solar plexus. And in essence, that virus mutated, so that it manifested in every aspect of our modern society. And all of those technologies applied, that manifest in the world as fashion and popular trends, in reality converting humans into cattle and sheep, controlled by global predator. So who is this global predator? Example of science. There is no gravitational force field that they teach us in schools. And our Earth is not rotating around the Sun. And the Moon is not rotating around the Earth. Why then do they teach us false science and theories? So what our Earth looks like is important to know and understand. Our Earth is not flat. But not as NASA shows on the picture either. It's kind of spherical and flat together, like if you cut the top portion of a basketball and surround it with a wall of ice. So let's look at the picture of how our world looks. It looks like a huge sphere that contains many planets, billions, like ours in a honeycomb structure. Our ancestors called those neighboring planets Chertogi, and every small portion is a planet similar to ours. And every planet, Chertog, used to have names that our ancestors knew about, with the following names: Chertog Devi, Vepria, Shuki, Zmei, etc. As you can see, the picture of animals are the names of various Chertogs. There is a Russian fairy tale, Skazo Finistiazanom Sokol, where a young girl travels through various planets, Chertogi, and wanders there. So back to the structure of the big sphere. On this huge spherical surface, the radius of the curve of every planet is so big that the surface of the planet is curved with a huge radius. Not flat but almost. I hope you understand the simple geometry. This huge sphere is floating in space. We are not alone in space. Our neighbors aren't that far away, as you can see on the picture of the huge sphere. Now take your time to perceive and process the information. Take your time, have a cup of tea. Now let's have a look at our place, our chertog called Midgard. M-D, Dom means home, Ga, movement. R, light, D, means dobro, goodness, my home that is moved by light and kindness, goodness. Midgard. And every planet, chertog, on this huge sphere, there are billions of chertogs, have the same size and structure but at a different stage of evolution, and with different proportions of continents and oceans. Every chertog is surrounded and isolated by a wall of ice, like a cylinder shape, and at the top covered with a membrane as a dome structure. And the whole structure of a chertog is in a hexagonal-shaped section cell, like a honeycomb, as you can see in the movie clip, where the big ice wall is. In the beginning, there were human beings on every chertog planet, and in every chertog cell, the human may be a different color, black, red, yellow, white, and a different size, but human. They may have different eye colors also. As you know, we have on our planet so many different colors and types of people. This proves the point. As you can see, there were giants in our chertog as well. They were helpful to construct some buildings that require the strength and size of a giant. So the existence of giants depends on the climate and ecology of the chertog, oxygen, content of atmosphere, sunlight, number of suns, etc. What does that mean? Number of suns. How many suns? The chertog may have 3 suns. 2 suns may be like a lamp, and when the lamp is changed we may have temporary darkness, solar eclipse. As you can see on the picture, there is a sun and moon and stars in the sky that produce some light above our head on the dome membrane that isolates our home chertog from space. All the stars and clouds that appear in the sky during night and daytime are made to appear, and sometimes they happen to land accidentally as a flying object. A clip from the movie, The Truman Show, 1998, proves the point. Now about the sun as we know it from school books and NASA information is not true. The sun is not that far away. It is located right above us at a distance of 3,000 kilometers. Artificial sun, under the dome membrane, and the moon that we see in the sky is not a real moon, it's a hologram picture. But what is hidden behind the picture? It's a good question. So what is hidden behind the hologram curtain? Artificial spacecraft behind the moon hologram curtain. And in the beginning there were 3 moons. They were called Fata, Lelia and Messick. Moon. Messick is our present moon. Let's define arc. That's how our ancestors called spacecraft. The arcs, spacecraft, were performing all kinds of military and research tasks. Let's not talk now about what happened with the other 2 arcs, spacecrafts Fata and Lelia, that were actually described in the Vedic scriptures. People may think that this moon is kind of our enemy's craft that's influencing us to be programmed slaves and harvesting our energy of emotions of lost stress, suffering and aggravation, etc. The name of this energy is called Gava. This energy of suffering, pain and loss is the food for demonic entities, but I can say that our moon arc is a spacecraft where our friends actually reside. They are human beings, and when people remember that they were taken by spacecraft in their dreams and such, they were actually inside the moon spacecraft on the other chertogs. There are also dome membranes, and there are suns and moons above their heads. How many depends on the situation. They may have no sun at all for a while. They may have a different atmosphere, different flora and fauna, different climate conditions. So people may appear to be different based on various climate and atmospheric conditions of a particular planet chertog. So, as a conclusion, every cell, chertog planet, has its own membrane with suns and moons, atmosphere and climate, and there are human beings there that look like us but may differ in color and size. There are also levels if we go deeper into the big sphere. And there are also cells in a honeycomb fashion there, and levels are divided by water as you can see on the picture. So it's like layers of a multi-layered structure. There are cells on the first layer, then oceans under it, and further down, another layer with oceans under it, and in the oceans underneath are gigantic whales and turtles that live there. How many layers are there? Can't tell right now, probably 7 or 8 layers. Now if the cell is left without maintaining life there, the cell is restoring its original structure. Oceans will disappear from the surface of the planet and it will be covered by a solid continent, and there will be growing trees and rocks. The state of this cell is kind of frozen. And when it is time to activate life there, the whales will come under the planet and warm it up to a certain temperature, and life starts germinating there. And the whales are held there by gigantic turtle. The turtle lives and sleeps there for millions of years. So we look at the design and structure of our big sphere, and the question is,